In session 3, we're going to be learning about your customers and your niche and how to find your customers and narrow your niche in the virtual environment. So customer and niche tip number 1, go find your prospects where they're looking for you online and engage them in a dialogue. Okay, so there's a lot in this little phrase here. Okay, so follow me. Go find your prospects where they're looking for you online and engage them in a dialogue. One of the things I like to say when targeting a niche is look for customers who are looking for you. In other words, don't just aim your message at everyone and don't just try to attract the general public. Look for customers who have a need, who have identified that they have a problem, a challenge, some kind of specific goal or objective, something they'd like to solve, the relief that they'd want, where they really know what they're trying to do and they've gotten proactive. When you're working virtually and you're using the internet primarily to market and sell your products and you're really trying to build a virtual online company, you need to go online and find them where they're hanging out. Okay, so this might be forums, it might be discussion groups, it might be reading blogs, it might be on search engines, it might be on special interest websites. There are many different types of places where your prospective customers might be, but you need to go find them where they're already looking for you. And if they're not already looking for you, then you probably are looking for the wrong customers because you're going to have to convince these people to want what you're selling, and that's hard work. Once you've found them, engage them in a dialogue. Okay? Engage them in a dialogue. Don't just bombard them with messages. Don't throw a bunch of ads at them. Engage them in a dialogue. Talk to them so you can learn about them, learn about their needs. This will give you a much better insight into how to create products and services and marketing that work. Customer and niche tip number 2. One-on-one conversations are best when targeting your niche and creating your next product or service. So we've already discussed a little bit the idea that you learn more when you interact with your customers than you do when you just kind of stand back and you do surveys and you read blogs. Well, it's really important when you're creating your niche or you're launching your next product, which, by the way, I actually think of products as being fulfillments for certain niches and needs. Every product is essentially its own niche. When you're creating a niche, when you're building a product, it's important to go back through the cycle, get back in touch with your customers, talk to them about their needs, figure out what their needs are, what the problems are that they're facing, the words they're using to describe them, so that you can meet those needs specifically when you're launching your product or service, as you are really getting clear on who your customer avatar is. If you're not having one-to-one conversations, one-on-one with your prospective customers, you're missing most of the great research and most of the insights that you could be getting. Prospective customers will talk to you, most cases, for free. Okay? They'll talk to you just because they're interested in talking to someone who wants to solve their problem. It's really amazing how much you can get by just talking to your customers. Customer and niche tip number 3. Start in the forums and social groups where your customers congregate and enter into discussions with them. Okay, so we've already learned we want to go out there and find out where they're already looking for you. What I mean by this is go find your prospective customers where they hang out to find solutions to their problem already. So if you're selling a product that helps people improve their golf swing, ask yourself, where are people that are trying to improve their golf swing hanging out? Okay, if you're selling a natural remedy for a particular health problem, go find online where people that have that health problem are already hanging out. Where are they in discussions? Where are they congregating? And then once you find them there, get into discussions with them. Okay, if you're just starting out or you're experimenting with a new niche or a new product idea, start interacting. Actually get into the forums, get into the social groups, and enter into the conversation. Ask people questions. Start your own groups and your own posts. Ultimately, what you're trying to do is what we'll talk about next, which is to get people to interact with you one-on-one. And we'll talk a little bit more about how to do that. But the key is to go to the places where the customers are congregating online and get into the community. Okay, get into the community, get introduced to those people. You can learn so much by looking at the candid conversations that people are having with each other on forums and discussion groups. It really amazes me how people sitting alone at their computer will say so much about themselves. They'll reveal so much when it's kind of in a relatively anonymous forum like this. So get there, check it out, go where they congregate, get into the group, right? Get yourself into the social group, understand the rules of how the group operates, so that you can then go to the next step, which is to get prospective customers on live calls and video conferences as soon as possible to learn from them live. This is where most businesses drop the ball. Okay, this is it, this step right here. They don't get their customers on live calls, live video conferences, talk to them live in person, to learn from them, to learn what's going on in their heads, to learn what's happening with their needs, their problems, their frustrations, etc. One of the things that you get when you're interacting with someone live is you get the ability to drill down. Okay, you get the ability to drill down. So for example, if I'm a health expert and I'm teaching people how to lose weight, and I want to figure out if customers are interested in this remedy that I'm offering or this system that I'm offering to lose fat, I could do a survey, okay, which I'd get some good information. I could just create my product and I could put it online. Or I could actually start talking to customers on the phone or in person or on video conferences. And I could say, what's your biggest challenge or frustration when you're trying to lose weight? And they could say, the biggest challenge is I don't know what to eat. Now, if you were just doing a survey, right, or you'd put up a blog post and ask people for comments, they say, I don't know what to eat. And you could say, okay, well, that means I should make a product about what people should eat if they want to lose weight. And that's probably pretty good. But if you're interacting live, you can say, okay, so you want to know what to eat. Well, what have you tried? What have you tried so far to eat that didn't work for you? And the person would say, oh, you know what? I tried the low-carb diet, but I still ate a lot of food and I actually wound up gaining weight. Okay, well, that's very interesting information to know that someone has already tried the low-carb diet. You might see that come up as a pattern. Then you might say, well, what did you eat when you were on the low-carb diet? And they might say, well, it said I can eat all the protein and fat that I wanted, so I ate a lot of bacon. In fact, I eat bacon 5 meals a day. And you might say, oh, okay, well, there's a really interesting insight. And then maybe you'll find a pattern down that path as well. The point is you can keep drilling down. You can ask people more specific questions about their challenges, their frustrations, the outcomes that they want. And the more you drill down, okay, which sometimes is a little bit challenging because we don't want to be rude, we don't want to be insensitive, we don't want to sound like we're prying. But the more you can drill down into the problem, the more you can get your prospects to be more specific about what's going on with them, the more you can get more detail, the more likely it is that you're going to find an opportunity where all of the stars align, where customers have a problem, they're looking for a solution, and they don't have one. Okay, they're looking for a solution and they don't have any perceived options, and that's when you can really take advantage of it and create a product that not only sells well, but also can have a nice long lifespan. You can even own the product category if you do a really good job. Here's an important point. I often have people say things like, well, let's go back to the weight loss example. Well, my customers, they want to lose weight. But that's just it. It's all kinds of people. They're all different. They all want to lose weight for different reasons. And often a person like this is struggling in their business. Usually, right, if you just take a minute to ask yourself, what do all these customers have in common, or what's different about the group of, the larger group, the majority of them, you'll come up with something quickly. When I've interacted with business owners, I've never seen a situation yet where we couldn't drill down and get more specific about the group of customers or the needs that they have and identify something that could work much, much better in terms of a product or marketing by just drilling down. And the way to do this is you got to do it live. If you want to get the most bang for your buck, you have to be talking to customers live on a regular basis. Don't underestimate this. Customer niche tip number 5. Learn your customers' biggest fears and frustrations, their biggest wants and aspirations, to identify opportunities. Okay, so learn your customers' biggest fears and frustrations, their biggest wants and aspirations, to identify opportunities. A mistake that most of us make when we're getting into business is, and I know I made this one a lot, is to make a product that we think is cool, or to do marketing that we think looks nice or sounds good, rather than to really get inside the head of the customer and understand what their challenges are, what their frustrations are, where they're having problems getting the results that they want, and then creating a product or service that solves those needs. Okay, so you hear me hammer on this one over and over and over. The best way to do this is to identify your customers' biggest fears and frustrations and their biggest wants and aspirations. Now, what's great in the virtual environment is that, again, we have more opportunities to interact with customers because we can build lists, we can offer things for free online, we can do teleclasses, we can do webinars, we can set up live chat, we can do all kinds of things to just make ourselves accessible to our prospects and to our customers, and we can interact with them on a regular basis. So very important that when you're interacting with your customers, you don't just say, what would you like in a product? What have you tried? What kinds of features would you like? Would you buy this if I had it for sale? That we actually go behind the social mask and we get inside of the darkest fears, the biggest frustrations, the biggest wants, the biggest aspirations. Ideally, you should be talking to at least one prospective customer every day on average. Okay, at least one prospective customer and or one customer every day on average, and asking, what's your biggest fear? What's your biggest frustration? What's your biggest want? What's your biggest aspiration? What's the outcome that you want? Getting behind their emotional needs. The more you can do this, the more you can fit this into your day, okay, ideally earlier in your day, which we'll talk about more in the program, the more you can fit this into your day every day, ideally earlier, the more it will focus your mind, it will directionalize your thinking, it will get you focused on the things that could really make a difference for them. When you live in a silo and you're just using, distance kind of interaction methods like surveys and things, it really keeps you from going deep. And going deep, that's where all the good stuff is. Customer niche tip number 6. When you're talking to your customers, listen for common descriptions and phrases that use emotionally charged power words and take note. Okay, so if you've been through some of my marketing trainings, you know how important it is to always listen for the commonality in the descriptions and listen for emotionally charged power words and write those down. Okay, so let's say that you are selling an information product. I use a lot of those kinds of examples because a lot of the folks that are building virtual businesses that learn from me build information businesses. But let's say you have an information business and your business is doing coaching for people and teaching them how to get out of debt. Okay, coaching them, advising them, helping them get out of debt. Well, when you're talking to your customers and your prospective customers, you want to be asking, what's your biggest challenge? What's your biggest frustration? What's your biggest want? What's your biggest aspiration? And what you might hear is people saying, it's these damn credit cards. Okay? Maybe that's the phrase that you hear your customers saying over and over and over, these damn credit cards. And you just hear that phrase and you can hear them get angry when they say it. Well, that would be an emotionally charged power word, okay, because you can hear the emotion going into it. Emotionally charged power words, power phrases, these are the symbols that we humans use in our minds that we hang a bunch of meaning on. You'll notice when people get upset or they get angry, they often change their language and they use different words to express their anger or their fear or their anxiety. Sometimes they use 4-letter words for this in the English language. And it's kind of interesting to notice how the tone shifts. Well, customers will use different language when they describe their problems and challenges and when they describe their wants and their aspirations and the outcomes that they want. As you're listening, make sure and write down the emotionally charged power words so that you can use them in your marketing, you can use them in your sales, you can use them in the names of your products, you can even use them in the names of your business. When you get the words that they're using, you can be very effective at getting better with your marketing and your sales. I have a program that I've created called Wake Up Productive. And the way it was created, interestingly enough, was I did a big survey of a large list of folks that I generated in another product launch. And I said, let me back up a step. I did a seminar, and at this business seminar, I noticed that most of the people there, probably half or more, were all in the information business. They were all selling coaching, training, information products online. And I realized, there's probably an opportunity here to create a training just on information products. So as I was launching that, I did a survey and asked my list, what's the biggest, fear, frustration, problem you have building your information business? And what was interesting was that the top answer that I got back wasn't about an information business. It was about time management and productivity. I kept reading over and over and over. I need to learn how to manage my time better. I need to become more productive. I'm having challenges with interruptions and keeping myself focused. And it was interesting because I asked a question not about time management, but about building an information business. And I noticed that the biggest frustration was actually around time management. So I created a separate course on that. And because productivity and being productive was really the outcome that most people were looking for, it was the word that they were using, I created the name Wake Up Productive, and I put the word productive right in the title of the program. So by listening for emotionally charged power words, the words people use to describe their problems, their challenges, the outcomes that they want, we can get great advantage. Customer niche tip number 7. Move the free line and offer something very valuable for free in return for joining your interest list. Now, this is one of the greatest opportunities, I think, that's been created by the internet and especially the virtual business model. In the past, if we wanted to give away free samples or give away things that were valuable to our customers, we often had to spend a lot of time, effort, energy, and money to do it. If you wanted to create a 1-hour video and give it away to 1,000 people, well, it involved expensive video shoots and editing and duplication and packing and warehousing and shipping and fulfillment and taking all the orders manually in some way. Well, now that we have the internet and now we can automate a lot of things in the virtual environment, we could create a 1-hour video and put it up online somewhere where it would be hosted for free and give it away to that 1,000 people for almost nothing. Okay, so all it would cost us would be the time and energy to shoot the video, do a little bit of editing, which now we can do right from our laptop computer with built-in software that it comes with. This is a huge shift. Claude Hopkins, back 100 years ago or so, he wrote a book called Scientific Advertising, which, by the way, David Ogilvy said no one should have anything to do with advertising until they've read this book at least 7 times, and I agree. So Scientific Advertising by Claude Hopkins. He said that one of the best marketing techniques is to offer free samples. Why is it a good marketing technique? Well, it's good because it allows you to try the product out and see if it works for you. Now, of course, you'd better have a good product, something that works, or else it's probably going to get high refunds or cancels, but that's a separate issue. In this case, what we can do is we can create free trainings, we can create free videos, free samples, free PDF downloads, free audios, free webinars. We can create all kinds of free stuff that has very high perceived value, and we can give it away. Now, because we're used to a different environment in our traditional business worlds and lives, we're not really accustomed to the idea of giving a lot away for free. And to even get ourselves emotionally to the place where we're willing to give away our best stuff for free, okay, we have to do some work. But when you have the power that's in front of you working from a modern computer in the virtual environment that has a built-in camera, that has a built-in microphone, that usually comes with recording software, where you can do desktop publishing, you can create very valuable educational content, videos, audio, training, webinars, that kind of stuff, and you can do it relatively quickly. So this is the best stuff for moving the free line. And when you do this, let's say you create a 1-hour video that teaches people about the topic that you're selling products and services on, you can then offer to give it away all over the internet. When you're in chat rooms, when you're in discussion groups, if you do webinars, if you offer interviews with people to their lists, wherever you're out and about interacting with people, you can say to them, hey, go to my website and get my free 1-hour video. This can really drive a lot of traffic. In the modern world, there are a lot of internet product launches happening using the formula Jeff Walker created, right? The product launch formula system. And one of the things that I've discovered when doing product launches is that the more valuable my free content, the more people come and join my list before we do our product launch, and the more people buy my product after the product launch is over. And the better I get at creating really great free stuff, the more people come and buy eventually. So move the free line, offer something very valuable for free in return for joining your interest list. And when working in the virtual environment, remember that now you can be very flexible. You can do a lot with just a computer. So do a lot. Okay? Create lots of really great, valuable free content and then give it away to as many people as possible. Customer niche tip number 8. As you build your list, use mass communication tools like surveys to go deeper into your customers' needs. So I mentioned that I used a survey when I was trying to figure out some of the needs of my customers after I had interacted with them in person, by the way, to even go deeper, and it resulted in a lot of success. I've used mass communication tools like blogs and blog comments, surveys, social media comments, to really go deep into customer needs and learn a lot. Here's the trick. Once you've talked to several customers one-on-one and you really feel like you understand what their needs are, now you want to go out and validate that information, go a little bit deeper. Remember, when you ask someone to fill out a survey, to leave a comment at the bottom of a blog post, answer an email with a description of what they need, modern day and age, most people are very busy. Okay, they won't take the time to go into depth and explain to you what's really going on unless you tell them to do it. Okay, so they won't go into depth unless you tell them to do it. So let's say that you're doing a survey and you're you're creating a remedy of some kind to help people lose weight. And you've talked to a lot of folks, and you've learned that they really want to lose belly fat most of all. And you've realized that most of your prospective customers are women. Okay, so you're like, okay, I'm going to focus on women who want to lose belly fat. I've got a nice list. I want to do a survey. Okay, you could just send them an email and say, hey, go take my survey. And the survey could say, are you female? Yes or no. Would you like to lose belly fat? Yes or no. That would be obviously too simplistic, but you could start at that high of a level. Or you could send out an email and say, hey, please go take my survey. I've got a special gift for you after you take it, a new video that I've created. Okay, so we're moving the free line. We're asking them to come participate with us. Then when they come to take the survey, at the top, it might say, I've worked really hard to create a survey that will really help me understand your needs, get inside your head, and figure out exactly how I can help you lose the weight that you want to lose. Do us both a favor and please answer all of the questions in detail. Okay, so at least a paragraph. And when I say in detail, I want you to really tell me what's going on inside of your head. Okay, so cut. So do you hear the difference here of how I'm communicating versus how most surveys communicate? All right, so sure, you might have some multiple choice answers, that kind of thing. What age group are you in, or how much weight would you like to lose? But in the questions where you're asking them to fill in a box, which is where you learn a lot, make sure you ask them to fill it out in detail, to go deep. Just like you're doing in person when you're talking to folks, you want to go deep into their needs, to their problems. Give them the freedom, give them the room to really explain themselves, and tell them what's in it for them. Explain what's in it for them to go deep and to really explain themselves. And if you do, you'll be rewarded with much better information, and you'll be able to understand the wider needs of your bigger audience much better. And then you'll be able to create narrower niches and better products that will be much more likely to work as you build your virtual business. Okay, so let's do an exercise and let's plan how we'll interact with customers. So we've learned the importance of interacting with our customers one-on-one, live, of going deep. And then we've learned the importance of using mass tools to even find out more about their needs, learn about their needs on a wider basis, and even we can use them to go deeper. How will you interact with your customers to discover their needs starting right now? What will you do to start communicating with your customers one-on-one? And then what will you do to start communicating with your customers in a mass format to understand their fears, their frustrations, their wants, their aspirations?